Sorry we've been kind of quiet around here lately. I was actually just typing a message to our Patreons, and it really got me to thinking, and I decided to make a video about not making videos in the last couple of weeks. I mean, first of all, we've just been working every single day on this film. I mean, to the point that days happen, and I don't know which ones are the weekend. I don't know when I'm supposed to be doing whatever. I've just been working pretty much nonstop. And I can't speak for Aaron here, but I've come to realize that this film that we're currently working on is probably one of the most important things I've ever done. Full stop. So there's that. And that's good, I feel like. But I actually told the Patreons earlier that there have been many times that I would rather be super glued to a giant piece of saran wrap than have to talk about what I'm thinking and feeling right now about what we're being told is happening right now. It's been over 8 years now of talking about what's happening and then getting so fed up with talking about what's happening that we started talking about what was gonna happen. We did that for years. And now, think about it like this. Let's say that you spent hours reading and researching about, I don't know, the magical return of a green rhinoceros. It's going to be this green rhinoceros that's going to come. It's going to be insane when it gets here. It's going to change the way everybody lives their lives. And let's say that you knew about this because you had done so much research and so much reading and you'd informed yourself. And let's say you started telling people about that. In every way you could think of, you started trying to tell people about that. And maybe you got some of the details wrong, but you could see that there was a pattern emerging and there were some pretty distinct things that were going to be happening as a result of this pattern in regards to this green rhinoceros. And let's say you decided to dedicate your life, all of your time to trying to tell people, not just about the green rhinoceros that's coming, but about the whole history of why this is going to be a life-changing, crazy thing that's about to happen to people in every way you could think of for years, okay? When the green rhinoceros finally shows up and starts trotting down the street, what else is there to say? Like, you said it. You've been saying it for 8 years. You've made movies about the green rhinoceros coming. You have sang songs about it. But you know what I'm saying? When the green rhinoceros actually shows up and starts walking around, what are you supposed to do then? Go, hey, everyone. Look, it's the green freaking rhinoceros that I've been telling you about. Is that what I'm supposed to be doing right now? I mean, I'm not even sure if people fully want to know exactly what it is that I'm thinking. And honestly, the wisest thing you can do sometimes is not talk. The wisest thing that you can do sometimes is just to sit back and listen. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a tendency for people to just start jumping every time and then you get into this weird habit of doing it, and then it takes over your whole life, and then you're just reacting all the time. Reacting all the time is exhausting. It's exhausting to do that. It is also psychologically traumatizing, I think, to do that. I think it actually changes the way that your brain functions and your body. It's unhealthy, and there's enough people out there doing that anyways. So we got an ample abundance of people who just spend all their time freaking out and just running around screaming like the sky is on fire every 2 seconds. And I don't know how many people have said the phrase society's toast. Not to be that person who just says I told you so, because everyone hates that person. No one wants to hear that crap. By the time someone's saying I told you so, it's too late anyway. So it's pointless to even say it. unless you just want to pat yourself on the back. See, I told you, it was me. I said it. Like, oh, who cares? By the point that stuff is going down, I told you so is real helpful, Jack. Okay? So, pointless. But at the same time, yeah, it's toast. I mean, that is something that a lot of people have been saying for a very, very long time. Since before I was born, people have been saying that. My dad was one of those people. Back during the Father's Day weekend, there it was his birthday and the anniversary of his death. It hit me extremely hard this year. Everything's been hitting everyone extremely hard this year. I understand that. And it's normal to be upset and stressed out and freaked out and everything. But at some level, at some point, you have to realize that is a loop that people get into, and then they can't find their way out. And it will not change the things. Being stressed out and freaked out and upset isn't going to do anything except destroy you and probably screw up your relationships. And I don't know, there's a whole laundry list of things that are bad that will come from that to you personally if you cannot find your way through it. We have lost friends, and we have family members that have become incredibly distant. And some of it is just, I think they don't want to hear what we have to say right now about this. And there are people that I've known for years who seem to break through the levels of deception that are happening simultaneously in this society. They seem to recognize these things for what they were, but now through this situation, they've done a pivot. I've seen people fully put themselves back in the box, and they've gotten a whole bunch of people. I feel like this is what happened in 2016 too. I feel like I saw that. I did a video on it. Now it's happening again, but it's almost like an accelerated version. They put themselves back in it. They saw the box, they walked up to the box, they opened it, and they got right in there. And now that's where they are. They're in the box. And they're just in the box now, hanging on the media's every word as if it's gospel from on high. It is just it's unbelievable. It really is. And then on the flip side of that, what I'm noticing is that there's just this desperate need for confirmation bias that's happening on whatever it is. It doesn't even matter what it is. It's just people desperately needing to have what they think they believe about reality be continuously confirmed to them, just repeatedly, on loop. But it should go without saying, but I have to say it since it obviously doesn't. If they truly believed that thing or whatever that was, then that wouldn't be necessary. They wouldn't need to continuously have their bias be confirmed because they believe it. If they had a belief that they themselves actually conceived. But since they're just taking on constructed beliefs, they have to bounce those beliefs around off other people that have the same thing and then put a whole echo chamber loop on that and just keep it going to just keep confirming and confirming. That's a pretty janky reality structure that is going on there. If that's the way that it has to be propped up with scotch tape, and it's not going to work forever. It's just not. Not in the situation that we now find ourselves. It's desperate. And you know why it's so desperate? I'm pretty sure I figured this out. I have an idea of possibly why that is. When you are somebody who does not seek the truth in your own life, but relies solely on someone else to give it to you without doing any of that for yourself. The reading, the research, the looking into things that don't quite seem right to you, whatever that might be. When people don't do that, then they become completely and utterly reliant for their reality to basically be constructed by someone else. I mean, that's essentially what it is. And that kind of reality is a fragile, it's not even a sandcastle. It might as well be an outfit made out of bubbles. That's basically what it is. It's fragile and it's easily shattered. That's what it is. Then it's like a cycle that has to be fed Just like fear, the body becomes accustomed to these chemical reactions that are based on emotions and your body becomes addicted to that. You can actually become addicted to fear. You can become addicted to anything, but you can become addicted to fear. And I think a lot of people are figuring that out right now. Like they cannot tear themselves away from the absolutely just toxic cesspool of just the black abyss of the dark night of the soul that the media has become in these recent months. And they cannot tear away from that, even though it is completely devouring their mind. It's like a form of Stockholm syndrome or something, because they just keep going back for more. I'm not talking about being generally informed. I'm not even talking about doing research. I'm talking about just plugging your brain into this media-driven feedback loop and just giving your mind over to whatever that is, whatever it is. And I think now for sure, at this point, we've all clearly seen the phrase, there's a reason they call it programming, be borne out in the streets. We have now seen that perfectly illustrated for us all, for the entire world on a mass scale. And then everybody's wallowing in this sea of what if, and it's like your whole life you're going to waste doing that now. You cannot do that for very long without giving yourself a psychological disorder. Once you get in that feedback loop in your own head, you're the only person that can get you out of it. I mean, it's normal to have every range of emotions. What isn't normal is to just live there in a state of perpetual depression, anxiety, and fear. I'm not trying to invalidate anyone's feelings here at all. I'm trying to do the opposite. I'm trying to give people some perspective that might help them. I mean, there's a billion what ifs that can happen all the time. If you tried to worry about each one consistently, I'm pretty sure your head would liquefy on your shoulders. And I'm not saying everybody who's listening to this is doing that. I feel like in some ways I'm almost talking to certain people like, I know you're out there and you're probably hearing this. Like you're going to melt yourself down. You're going to lose yourself completely. If you're able to sit and listen to me on this video, then your life is probably okay in the moment of where you are. Like you're probably not being physically chased down by a rabid wolverine or something because you're watching this video. So you're at least doing a little bit better than you could be with those what ifs, yeah? Because it's not actually physically occurring to you at this moment, right? So look around then and recognize that this is the present moment. This is actually where you're at right now. You're not in the future. You're not in the past. You're here listening to me talk about this. And what I'm saying to you is that if you live in a future in your mind that is just filled with terror, that is where your mind is. So that's kind of where you're living now. You are making a decision, though, to do that. You might not realize it consciously, but that's a decision that's being made on some level. Because the future is the future. This is now. That's then. This is now. If you spend all of your time worrying about what's going to happen, then you're not even here now. You're there in some place that you've created, right? And maybe other people have had a hand in creating it, especially if you're somebody that likes to watch the news all the time. Then you're not even creating it. Someone else is. And you're just emotionally responding to it. So that's like being trapped in a VR program of someone else's design for all intents and purposes. And I'm not saying don't be prepared, but let's remember what the point of being prepared is. It's so that you can be comfortable in knowing you are prepared if and when XYZ happens, correct? So once you've done everything you think you need to do for you to feel that comfort, but the problem is people aren't getting to the comfort stage. Because if they were, they'd stop worrying about it then. Well, I've done everything in my power to do to prepare for blah, blah, and blah. So now I'm going to stop focusing all of my attention on things that have not happened yet. Because it's a currency, that energy. And you are spending it on basically a future that you're designing for yourself out of garbage components that's going to end up in a terrible reality. Do you see what I'm saying? Because where's the room in that recipe for you to live your God-given life that you have one of? Where's that? Because if you're just freaking out all the time about stuff that hasn't happened, you're not living your life. It's like you're preparing to save what? The life that you're already giving up to the future that hasn't happened yet because you've consigned yourself to a nightmare scenario, and so you're living in the nightmare, and so you're not even here. So what are you even protecting by preparing? I mean, that's the question I have. I don't even get it. At some level, it stops making sense. And so then why are you even preparing? Because you've already lost the thing that you're trying to protect so hard by doing that to yourself. I have spent these past few months in deep, deep introspection about everything. Everything that we've done, everything that I've done in my life, things that I've been through, my childhood. Like I've had a very strange experience over the last couple of months in my personal life, and I've just come to realize some what I feel are pretty fundamental truths about myself, about what I'm trying to do, why I care so much, why things are this way. I guess the difference is that I take this extremely seriously to be able to have the ability to come on here and talk to you guys. I take it extremely seriously. So I've been spending some time just trying to reconsider, reconfigure, realize what can I do that will be the most in service of people. We really do reap what we sow. So if all our seeds are being sown in the most blackest of negative pits that's ever been dug, what are we about to reap from that? Anyways, I love you guys. I do. I wouldn't be doing anything that I do if I didn't care.